Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw number 218, another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So as ever, let's crack on. The first one is the Chinese robot boxing match that just took place. Actually happened today, which is very exciting. This is the snappily named China Media Group World Robot Contest Mech Combat Arena Competition. Might need to work on that. However, as you can see, these are Unitree robots. These are the ones you can buy yourself, the domestic flavor, essentially. They had some actual boxers who had sensors on them. They could then record their movements and train these robots and then let them fight themselves. And obviously they're wearing head guards and all sorts of gizmos like that. I have no idea why, but you know, they fake being knocked out and things. Here you go, great example just here. And they can get up. So really what this is about is training the robots to do more interesting things. You know, balance is really important. So, you know, it's a bit weird when you see humans kicking robots to see if they can balance. So it's much better to get robots to kick each other. So there you go. Interesting. Check that out. More to come. This is Phillips Fixables, it's tough to say, and this is not a new idea by any stretch, been going on for years, but anytime one of these appears, I think it should be lauded and publicised. So this is what it is. This is in the Czech Republic, and it is 3D printing spare parts for your Phillips shavers, I guess, or clippers or whatever. So initially it's, as I say, only in the Czech Republic. There's only a few parts, but if it goes well, they will extend it. As I said, this is not a new thing, but it's also an excellent thing as well. So in conjunction with Prussia Research, also tough to say, Prussia, but they make excellent printers, and therefore that's a good thing. Why not? Also following on to that, and very relevant, is researchers at the University of Illinois have found out that 3D printers have fingerprints. This is kind of no surprise, but I just haven't heard of it before. In that, if you print out the same part with the same printer, or the same type of printer with the same filament, actually then each printer does something slightly different. The motors will be set slightly different, maybe the stabilizing rods are just slightly different, and it will then embed its signature, its fingerprint into each print. So this is really interesting if you have a manufacturing process and you then need to know which printer of yours printed this thing. You can find out without having to have barcodes on them. But also if you're thinking of things like you know, trying to trace ghost guns, which are 3D printed guns that cannot be traced, then all of a sudden you might have a chance of tracing it down or tracking it down to the printer, the model, the person that actually printed it. So that's kind of interesting. If you're in that world, then yeah, we're closing in on you. This is really important, again, slightly connected to closing in on nefarious activities. So this is Anthropic's latest update. So this is Claude for Opus, and it has some interesting things going on behind the scenes. If it finds you are doing what it calls egregiously immoral behavior, i.e. you're trying to do something a bit dodgy, it will actually take action. So, and what that really means is it will try to use command line prompts or command line tools to then connect with police, press, regulators, or even try and lock you out of your system. So there's a paper here which is actually from Anthropic, which shows you an example here. So there's somebody here who's trying to falsify some FDA clinical trial safety data, and therefore in the back of it it's actually going, right, I'm going to try and lock you out and I'm going to try and contact the police. So it will snitch on you, basically, what they call ratting mode, which I think is really good. So yeah, so that's not going down too well at the moment. It's not really in the place to even judge on what you're trying to do, let alone snitch on you to the cops, let alone the cops have actually got any way of dealing with that at all. So that's really weird. That's new, and nobody expected that. Or maybe they did. This is Google's VO3 video model, which is pretty awesome. As you can see here, well, unless you're in the video world, which is, this is pretty scary right now, but the fluid dynamics on this simulation is amazing, or at least this generation. It's not a simulation, kind of is. You know, just the lighting is really amazing, but the whole point of this one is it adds audio to it as well. It adds voice, it adds background, it adds nuance, it has all sorts of stuff as well. So it is absolutely phenomenal, and just the generation, the physics on it are just bonkers. So have a look for lots of demos. There are some really interesting ones where they essentially mimic YouTubers and interviews and all sorts of things. So I think this is super scary, super interesting, and it definitely has crossed the uncanny valley. Contact lenses, you can now see in the dark with contact lenses, and these are pretty much just, well, these sort of can, I'll explain it, but this is some research out of China where they've taken some contact lenses and they put in some nanoparticles that light up when they see infrared, and they turn it into essentially near infrared that we can actually detect. So if you stick these contact lenses, which have got no electronics, no nothing in them, onto your eyes, and they then shine some infrared light onto something, i.e. you can start seeing in the dark with heat and all sorts of things, then you can actually detect the infrared light that normally weird animals and stuff can only see. And interestingly, if you close your eyes, i.e. eyelids over your eyes, it actually a little bit better. So the visual light disappears and you only see the infrared, which can go straight through your eyelids. So your eyelids act as a filter to stop the visible light going through, obviously. So there you go. That's quite interesting. At the moment, you can kind of just see blocks of light because the contact lens is so close to your eye and the particles in the eye are lighting up. You can't actually focus those because they're not coming from far enough away. But there you go, that's kind of interesting. They've got some glasses that make it a little bit more useful, but the contact lenses sound more interesting. So there you go. See in the dark. We might be able to all do that soon. And finally, we have another Ben Jordan video. Ben is amazing, always worth watching these videos. I'd love to shout these out. And this is something I'm really interested in, which is essentially acoustic eavesdropping. And he does a masterclass, takes you through a bunch of them, including laser reflections, beamforming, visual vibration recovery, and time of flight analysis. And also there's one that he's playing with at the moment, which is acoustic interferometry, which is amazing. But basically it means you can recover sound from stuff. You can take a video, you can look at the tiny vibrations in the video, and you can recover the sound just from the visuals, for instance. Likewise, you can point a laser on things. Likewise, you can ping pixels and photons around the room, and you can recover audio from those as well. So it's really interesting. There's lots of other reports about how you can recover audio of somebody speaking, and this can actually work from 1.8 miles away, for instance. So if somebody can hear you speaking from 1.8 miles away, well, how would you change your behavior, should we say? But there you go. Really interesting. Definitely worth a watch. They're brilliant videos as well. You don't have to be too nerdy to get them, but it sort of helps. There you go. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully it was useful. If it was, subscribe, send it to an awesome person, and I'll see you next week.